How Lao Tzu's Taoism can fix your life. 5 powerful lessons. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a river. It's quiet, serene, but powerful. The water glides around rocks, never resisting, yet always moving forward. Now ask yourself, how often do you try to force your way through life? Through relationships, careers, even your own emotions? How often do you tighten your grip on things that are slipping away, believing that more effort, more control, more resistance will bring you peace? This is where Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese sage, steps in with a truth that feels like a whisper but hits like thunder. Water is fluid, soft and yielding, but water will wear away rock, which is rigid and cannot yield. As a rule, whatever is fluid, soft and yielding will overcome whatever is rigid and hard. And that's where we begin. The first lesson of Taoism and the first way it can fix your life is this: stop forcing. The Tao, or the way, is not about domination. It's about alignment. It's about moving with the natural current of existence rather than against it. When we push too hard, when we seek to dominate outcomes, control people, or resist what is, we break, we suffer. But when we flow, when we allow life to unfold without clinging, we discover something radical. Peace is not the absence of struggle, but the absence of resistance.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
You might be thinking, but wait, doesn't that make me passive? No, it makes you wise. Because Taoism doesn't ask you to do nothing, it asks you to do the right thing at the right time with the right energy. It's a philosophy of Wu Wei, often mistranslated as non-action, but it really means effortless action. It's the archer who doesn't strain, but hits the mark. It's the surfer who rides the wave instead of fighting the ocean. It's the leader who leads by stepping back, not stepping over. And you know what's wild? Science and psychology are catching up with this. Flow states, those moments of peak performance, happen not through tension, but through surrender, through presence, through trust. So ask yourself, where in your life are you trying too hard? Where are you resisting what is clearly unfolding? Maybe it's a job that's draining you, a relationship that's expired, an identity you've outgrown. What would happen if you stopped fighting and started flowing? What if you trusted the current, even when it feels uncertain? This is not easy. We've been conditioned to believe the opposite: push harder, hustle more, dominate the day. But Lao Tzu would laugh at that. He would remind us that the most powerful forces in nature are the ones that do not force at all. The sun doesn't scream to shine. The tree doesn't rush to grow. The river doesn't argue with the boulder. It goes around it, and in time it shapes it. There's a quiet revolution in surrender, not giving up but giving in to the rhythm of life. That's the first gate Taoism invites us to walk through, and if we dare, if we're brave enough to stop resisting, something beautiful begins to happen. Life stops being a battle and becomes a dance. But here's the twist. This isn't a one-time realization, it's a practice. You have to remember to surrender again and again, because ego thrives on control, and control is seductive. It promises certainty, safety, predictability, but what it actually delivers is tension, anxiety, and burnout. Flow, on the other hand, is unpredictable. It requires trust. It asks us to release the illusion of control, and that's terrifying. But it's also the beginning of freedom. Let me ask you this: what are you currently clinging to that is clearly asking to be released? What would happen if you stopped holding so tightly? Would you sink, or would you find yourself floating for the first time? That's the power of Taoism. It doesn't hand you answers, it hands you questions with space for your own truth. And it does so gently, like water, shaping your life not through pressure but through presence. The Tao is always available. It's not an external path you walk, it's the internal knowing you return to again and again, like breath, like wave, like the river that never stops moving, not because it's rushing, but because it's aligned. And maybe that's the answer to a question we've all been secretly asking. What if the peace we're chasing isn't found in the destination, but in how we move through the journey? The uncarved block, why simplicity is the key to power. There's an ancient image in Taoism called the uncarved block, Pu. It represents raw, untouched potential, simplicity, a state of being before the world carves us into shapes we're expected to fit. Lao Tzu believed that true strength, true clarity, true wisdom came not from complexity but from returning to this pure, unshaped form. And that's the second powerful lesson Taoism offers us. Simplicity is not weakness, it's power in its purest form. More than ever, our lives are full of noise, notifications, opinions, obligations, and 1,000 voices telling us who we should be. We pride ourselves on multitasking, on being busy, on accumulating more knowledge, more status, more stuff. But ask yourself honestly, has all this complexity made you feel more alive or more exhausted, more grounded or more lost? Lao Tzu's wisdom cuts through the noise like a blade of stillness. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. There's nothing flashy here, nothing complicated, but in its simplicity lies a kind of truth that's hard to ignore. Because somewhere deep down we know, the more we strip away what's unnecessary, the more we uncover what's essential. Simplicity isn't just about decluttering your home or cutting your to-do list. It's about returning to what matters. It's recognizing that you don't need to become something extraordinary to live a meaningful life. You already are the uncarved block. You just have to stop chiseling yourself into someone else's image. Think of the most powerful people you know, not the loudest or the richest, but the ones who carry a calm certainty. They don't need to prove themselves. They don't overcomplicate. They know who they are, and they move through the world with quiet confidence. That's what simplicity cultivates: presence, clarity, integrity. And in a world addicted to performance, presence is revolutionary. But here's the paradox: getting simple isn't easy. It takes courage to step back from the chaos, to say no, to slow down, to choose less when everyone else is chasing more. Simplicity asks us to trust that we are already enough. And that's terrifying for the part of us that's built an identity around achievement, around comparison, around control. So let me ask you, what would your life look like if you stopped adding and started subtracting? What would remain if you removed everything that wasn't truly you? Every spiritual tradition has a version of this truth. Jesus spoke of becoming like children. The Buddha spoke of the middle way. Lao Tzu simply pointed to the uncarved block and said, return to what is natural, return to what is whole, return to what is simple. And this isn't about retreating from the world, it's about showing up more fully in it. Simplicity doesn't make you passive, it makes you precise. It helps you see what really matters, so you can give yourself to it fully. It frees up the energy you waste on pretending and redirects it toward presence, creativity, love. So take a hard look at your life. Are you overwhelmed because you're overcomplicating? Are you exhausted because you've said yes to too many things that don't feed your soul? Are you chasing goals that aren't even yours? Sometimes the most radical act is to stop, to breathe, to clear the clutter not just in your closet, but in your mind, your relationships, your sense of self, to say, this is who I am, this is what I need, this is enough. And if you can do that, if you can return to your own uncarved block, you'll discover a kind of strength that no one can take from you, a clarity that no chaos can shake, a peace that doesn't depend on anything outside of you, because the truth is, you were never meant to be everything. You were only meant to be you. Empty yourself to be full. The power of letting go. There is a strange and beautiful paradox at the heart of Taoism, one that defies everything we're taught in modern life. It is this: to be full, you must first be empty. To gain real wisdom, you must unlearn. To receive deeply, you must let go. This is the third lesson Taoism offers us, and it may be the most difficult of all, because it runs directly counter to everything our culture glorifies: accumulation, ambition, and the endless pursuit of more. Lao Tzu writes, "We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want." Think about that. It's not the walls of the pot that make it useful, it's the space, the absence, the nothingness. And yet how often do we live our lives trying to fill every space? Every moment of silence must be filled with noise, every pause must be filled with productivity, every doubt must be covered by certainty. But what if it's in the empty spaces that the most profound transformation takes place? This is not easy. We've been conditioned to believe the opposite: push harder, hustle more, dominate the day. But Lao Tzu would laugh at that. He would remind us that the most powerful forces in nature are the ones that do not force at all. The sun doesn't scream to shine. The tree doesn't rush to grow. The river doesn't argue with the boulder. It goes around it, and in time it shapes it. There's a quiet revolution in surrender, not giving up but giving in to the rhythm of life. That's the first gate Taoism invites us to walk through. And if we dare, if we're brave enough to stop resisting, something beautiful begins to happen. Life stops being a battle and becomes a dance. This is not just metaphorical. Think of your own life. When do you grow the most? Is it when everything is full, perfect, and under control? Or is it in those moments when things fall apart, when plans collapse, when identities dissolve, when you're left holding nothing? Those moments hurt, but they also strip us down to something real. They return us to a place of humility, of openness, of possibility. That is the power of emptiness. It clears away the false so that truth has room to enter. But letting go is terrifying, isn't it? We cling to our roles, our beliefs, our routines, even when they're suffocating us. We're afraid that if we release control, we'll lose ourselves. But Lao Tzu would say the opposite is true. Only by letting go do we find who we truly are. When the ego steps aside, the Tao flows in. When we stop grasping, life begins to move through us again. And this idea isn't just poetic, it's deeply practical. Think of how much stress we carry from trying to control things we cannot control: other people's opinions, the future, the past, outcomes, reactions. We pour energy into managing what was never meant to be managed. Taoism invites us to release that burden, not out of laziness, but out of wisdom. Because when we stop trying to force life to conform to our will, we begin to see what it is already offering us. So, here's the question for you. What are you holding on to that is holding you back? Is it a grudge? A self-pity? A plan that no longer fits your soul? A story about who you're supposed to be? What would happen if you just let it go? In a world obsessed with adding, Taoism teaches us the sacred art of subtraction. Not to lose, but to make room. Not to be less, but to be more aligned. The tree grows not by grabbing the sky, but by releasing its leaves when the season calls for it. The musician doesn't just play notes, she honors the silence between them. And you, when you learn to let go, you don't become less, you become free. So take a breath, loosen your grip. Whatever you're afraid to let go of is probably what's preventing you from receiving what you truly need. And remember, it's the empty space that holds the water. It's the silence that opens the heart. And it's the act of letting go that finally allows the Tao to flow through you. Living without trying. How effortlessness unlocks your true nature. We've arrived at the heart of the Tao, the principle that confuses, frustrates, and ultimately liberates those who dare to live by it. It's the fourth and most mysterious lesson, the power of not trying. In Taoism, this is known as Wu Wei, which doesn't mean doing nothing, but rather doing without forcing, acting in harmony with the natural flow, without struggle, without strain. It's the art of effortlessness. And in a world obsessed with effort, it's nothing short of revolutionary. Let's pause and reflect on your own life. How often do you feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill? How much of your daily energy is spent trying to make things happen, trying to be liked, trying to be good enough, trying to meet expectations, trying to fix things, trying to be someone you're not? And here's the haunting question. What if all that trying is the very thing standing in the way of your becoming? Lao Tzu tells us, when nothing is done, nothing is left undone. To the modern mind, this sounds absurd, but to the soul it rings true, like a clear bell on a still morning, because Wu Wei isn't about laziness, it's about alignment. It's about realizing that when we stop interfering, life begins to organize itself. When we stop forcing growth, we start to grow. When we stop chasing love, we become lovable. When we stop chasing success, we become successful in the truest sense, because we're no longer measuring our worth by external results. This doesn't mean we never act. It means we act from a place of deep presence and inner alignment, not from anxiety, desperation, or ego. Think of the greatest athletes, artists, or spiritual teachers. When they're in the zone, they're not trying, they're being. The moves come effortlessly, the words flow, the connection is alive. That's Wu Wei. It's the state of being where your actions and your nature are one and the same. But this kind of living requires trust, deep, radical trust. Trust that the Tao is wiser than our plans. Trust that the path will appear as we walk it. Trust that who you are at your core is already enough. We don't like that, do we? We want guarantees, control, predictable outcomes. But the Tao doesn't offer that. It offers something better, a profound peace that comes from surrendering to the flow, from knowing you don't have to carry the entire weight of your life on your shoulders. So ask yourself, where in your life are you over-efforting? Where are you trying so hard that you've lost the joy, the magic, the spontaneity? Imagine letting go of that pressure. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that you don't have to prove yourself anymore, that you don't have to push, that life is not a competition, but a current, and your job is simply to swim with it, not against it. This is how Taoism can fix your life, not by giving you more to do, but by showing you how to be, by guiding you back to your true nature, which is not anxious, not striving, not desperate, but calm, fluid, and effortlessly effective when aligned with the Tao. And if you're wondering what the signs of alignment are, they're simple. There's a lightness in your chest, a clarity in your decisions, a sense of being in the right place at the right time. You're no longer hustling for your worth, you're radiating it. You're no longer chasing purpose, you're embodying it. You're no longer fighting the current, you've become the current. Lao Tzu didn't write the Tao Te Ching as a rule book. He offered it as a mirror to help us see what we've forgotten, that life, at its core, is not about trying harder. It's about remembering who you are when you stop trying at all. So, are you ready to stop swimming upstream? Are you ready to live without forcing, without striving, without pretending? If so, the Tao is already flowing through you. All you have to do now is let it